So I have Coach Todd Hafner in studio today, and we're going to be talking a little bit about him and the program that he's helped to build at William Penn. So let's start. First of all, how did you arrive and when did you arrive to William Penn?
So I arrived in 2004. I was, at the time, I was the offensive coordinator at Emporia State University in Kansas. And obviously had known about William Penn with my dad having been here. I was actually, born and raised here until I was in the first or second grade. I can't remember, but so we knew about Oskaloosa, and when the job happened to come open, I just talked to Mandy and talked to my dad, and knew that William Penn was in a rough spot. They had been in a rough spot for quite a while, and I talked to Dad about it and just asked him what he thought, and he's like, there's no place to go but up. I know that for sure. But given where they are, it's going to be hard. The blessing that you have is that they just went back to the NAI, so you can now offer athletic scholarships again, and the community, the lay of the land a little bit. It's just a matter of, can you go in there and get it done? And so I came up here for an interview in the dead of winter. I think it was like January 15th, and one thing I vividly remember is we're driving up here and we're about to Eddyville, and a male pheasant goes running across the road, and Dad kind of looked at me and I kind of looked at him, and it was like, well, we are in Iowa again. Here we are, and so, but it was a great day. It was a great interview. Fortunately, about a week later, I heard that, they were going to offer me the job, and through talking to Mandy and a few prayers, we decided that this is where we needed to be. And 17 years later, here we are, and things are a lot different now than they were then. I will say that.
Well, I've only had the pleasure of knowing you about 10 years now.
Right.
And
well, congratulations to you, by the way, for Oski News in 10 years. What a great accomplishment that is. So congrats to you guys.
Well, thank you very much. And some of my first experiences with you and the William Penn football team were out there at the old community stadium.
Right.
And it was a little muddy, a little mucky, and on a Saturday,
yeah.
Sometimes it's a little chilly, but it was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was that college atmosphere, and
yeah.
As a person that had never covered college, or I probably even never been to a college level game, that was a completely new experience.
So, wow, yeah, it would be, especially down there, yeah.
So let's get a little bit of your history. So you came to Oskaloosa in 2004, but how did you get interested in coaching football, and what was your history that led you here?
Well, I played high school football for my dad, and so I knew early on that that's what I wanted to do. My dad coached, basically my whole life, and so I got to see how that whole thing worked, and knew that, in order to be a coach, I probably needed to get my teaching degree, which I did. And for the first 7 years of my career, for the first 3 years, I was an assistant high school coach, and then I was a head high school coach, and then I moved on and was the offensive coordinator at Emporia State. But really, it all stems from my dad. I mean, he coached me in high school. I learned a lot, and learned a lot of things about discipline and how things are supposed to work. And I was very fortunate that I was able to go play football at Pittsburgh State University in Kansas, and was part of 4 conference championships and a national championship and a national runner-up, and just had a great experience there, and was able to take a lot of what I learned there into my coaching career. And again, it was a lot about discipline, a lot about life, less about X's and O's than it was about teaching kids how to do the right thing and being a good person and being prepared to be able to be a successful member of society when you're done. And so I just, the impact that we can make on kids' lives, whether it was at the high school level as they're just starting to mature, or at the college level where we're trying to take them from that level of maturity into young men. And so that's the enjoyment for me. That's why I wanted to do it. And we're very blessed. Mandy and I and our kids are very blessed that the Oskaloosa community has welcomed us, and even for 17 years been very gracious in in helping us do a lot of things that help us be successful.
Well, let's kind of walk through that. I think before we all kind of knew that Penn was really struggling on the gridiron before we kind of got there.
Yeah.
And you've worked and you've gotten staff You're now even bringing your son into
Right.
your wing and giving
Right.
him that coaching experience too. But
Yep.
let's talk about that growth that you've helped to lead at William Penn in football.
Well, obviously that's not something that is solely, something I can take credit for. Early on, it was about me learning from, there were a couple coaches that were here when I got here, just kind of learning the ropes more than anything. Just how does the school operate? How are we going to do this? And how are we going to do that? And, Brant Miller is still a friend of mine to this day, only coached with us for a couple years, but he was really the guide early on just to get us on track. After a couple years, I was able to hire my brother, who was a high school coach, to come and be the offensive coordinator. Was able to do a lot of different things to hire a couple extra staff to help us. We were able to do a lot better with our video equipment and things like that. And so, the school has really allowed us to do the things we need to do to be successful. And, with hiring my brother, then hiring my dad, who I'd played for, we were all able to gel. And Coach Brad Griffin, who came with me from Emporia, had never coached a down of defenses in his entire life, came here as the defensive coordinator and just took off. And so, there are so many factors that go into the success of the football program right now, and where we were and where we are now, that, I can't even mention everybody. There's just too many people to mention. But Nick Rule and John Otteson have been just amazing on helping us to maintain where we are and to try and get us to the next level. And the last couple of years we've struggled a little bit, and that's no one's fault but mine. We've got to do a better job of being disciplined and coaching disciplined kids, and we lost track of that just a little bit for the last couple of years. But with the kids we have now, I think we're back on track, and we're ready to go get back on the winning ways. And I really feel that we're right there.
I was going to say, that kind of goes with it's not so much about the X and O's, it's about creating those good members of society. My time of interviewing coaches along through the years now, that really seems to be the focus. And so if you help those people be those kinds of people, so they're good members of society, do you find out that in the end that they're good teammates and make good?
Oh, no question. That's a great way to put it. The better, how do I want to put this? The more the kids take to the way we're teaching, the better our team is going to be, and the more successful they will be when they're done. Sometimes kids take a little bit of offense if we get on them, or if we tell them that this is the way it has to be done. If you don't do it this way, the chances of you being successful are less likely. And those just come from our experiences. And so it's sometimes hard for an 18, 19, 20-year-old young man to understand that we're not just telling them or asking them to do things because we just want to see them do it. We're asking them to do things to better themselves, so when they're playing the game, or when they're going to class, or when they're done with school, we're giving them a chance to be successful in whatever they want to do, because they're going to need this life experience that they're learning through football to be successful in whatever they want to do. And that's really what we're trying to do as we teach the game and as we teach these kids how to move forward.
Well, not to be blunt, but most of the time, unless you're Damon Harrison or one of those, you're not going to play football past this level. And they might go to Germany to play for.
Right, or they may play in some indoor stuff, but you're correct, for sure.
So really, kids that are interested in sports in college are really interested. One, they have a passion for the game, but two, they understand that team, or learning to be a team member, is beneficial for them then in life afterwards.
Well, that's what we hope. We hope that those are the lessons that they're learning. We're going to do our best to teach them, how to be accountable, how to be reliable, how to be trustworthy, how to be disciplined in their actions. But in the end, it's really up to them to determine at what level they want to be all of those things. And it is up to us to hold them accountable. And it is, if they're late, we hold them accountable. If they miss, we hold them accountable, and we discipline them. But we give them way more leniency than someone will give them when they get into a job. And we tell them that all the time. If you've missed 3 weight sessions, we're just going to keep disciplining you for missing the weight sessions. If you miss work 3 times without calling, they're going to fire you. That's just basically how it's going to go. And so we're trying to teach them that, you can't do these things repeatedly when you're done with school, or you're going to have a hard time being successful. So why don't you learn how to do these things now? That way, when you get to the point where you're making $50, $60, $70, $100,000 a year, that you don't make that mistake and lose your job. And so we hope that through what we do, they're able to be successful way after they're done with us.
So as your success in coaching and coaching measuring success as a coach isn't always win and losses. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at that, what do you measure as one of your best successes as a coach?
Well, I think when we're done with the season and we get to talk to the seniors, you know, as they're getting ready to play their last game, that's one of the probably one of the most emotional times for us, because they get to see us on a different level. They get to see the emotion, and I mean, I'm getting choked up right now, but that's the time when we know, when they hug us and say, thank you for everything, that we've done our job. Now, whether we go win that game or win games after that, man, I didn't expect this. Whether we win that game or go win games after that is just a byproduct of how they feel at that moment, because that's the pinnacle for them. They've made it through 4, 5, 2 years of being with us and learning the lessons from us, and when they hug us and say thank you, that's the ultimate for us.
I used to have somebody I have somebody today that'll still say there's 2 paychecks in a job. There's the paycheck that helps you make your house payment, but there's that paycheck, that satisfaction paycheck.
Yeah, and that satisfaction paycheck is way bigger than the one that helps pay my house payment, for sure. Yeah.
So that's a big moment for you. So let's talk about recognition from others. I mean, you've been here now 17 seasons?
17, going on 17.
Okay, and you said there's been ups and there's been downs.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You know, I think that's the story of any coach, that unless you're John Henry, but anyway.
Yeah, right.
But seriously, he admits he's had those seasons too. But it's when you look back and what honor from your peers really stands out the most for you?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I guess when you've had a successful season. And maybe when you get nominated or get selected by your peers as a coach of the year in the conference, because that really is a representation of, I mean, the head coach gets the award, but that's a representation of what the other coaches thought of what you and your staff did with that team. And I think back to, I think it was 2009 or 10 that we won the Coach of the Year award, and we were 7-4. We didn't necessarily win the conference, I don't think. Matter of fact, I know we didn't. But they had seen the progress we made. So at that point, that probably that from my peers would be probably the highlight. And I mean, I've been selected to be the president of the NAI Football Coaches Association. That's a pretty cool deal, to be the representative of all the football coaches in the NAI. That was pretty neat. But and again, those are all things that you get because you have great staff, great administration, great players, and they allow you to be put in a position to be able to accept roles like that. So all those awards and things like that, it comes back to the head coach, but for sure it's not just a head coach award. It should say head coach and staff, or head coach in administration, or head coach in school, because that's basically where it comes from.
So we're going to talk a little bit about this upcoming year a little bit, because I think you alluded to it earlier. There's been some I don't know, maybe some internal, just some way to figure things out.
Yeah.
To get things
discussions
to go maybe a certain direction with the program. Mm-hmm. Do you feel satisfied that you've got things kind of steered right and you're looking to make a better rebound this year in the NAIA?
We really do. It's a couple of years ago, we kind of let ourselves go astray as far as the discipline. We thought we had a very talented senior class, which we did. They were very talented. They needed a little more guidance than we thought they needed, and things kind of got askew in the middle of the season. We lost a couple games. We kind of tried to get it back on track, and it was a little bit late. And I think that season carried over a little bit into last season. Just we had some kids leave that we really didn't want to leave, but they didn't like the direction of the program. And but the kids that stuck around are now going to be seniors this year, and we feel really good about where we are. We've recruited some good junior college kids that have really bought into the program, and you know, we've talked. We're going to have to play some young kids, and with only 3 weeks of practice, you know, how's that going to work? But the type of kid and the type of player that we feel we've recruited, plus the type of player and leader we have on our team right now, we really think that we're going to be able to get the corner turned and get this thing going, you know, in a winning direction again. So we feel good about where we're at.
What kind of pieces, players this year are we looking at? Some highlights. I mean, do you got a QB that can, you know, pass 90 yards, or what do we got this year?
Well, Alex Kriehan will be our quarterback this year, and first of all, Alex is probably one of the best leaders we've ever had. He's a great student. He's a great person. He plays a position where kids will recognize that kind of stuff. And he's tough, and, you know, is he the fastest? No, but he's working on it. He's probably one of the smartest. He's one of the toughest without question. Played last year with all kinds of shoulder injuries and didn't hardly tell anybody. And so, you know, then we have Ben Sherman, and we have some kids, and we have Jason Ugebauer on defense, who's one of the, has one of the brightest futures of anybody we've ever had here. That he's off the charts smart. He's been the president of the student body. I mean, he's done all of those things, and a great leader again. And we've been able to fill in some pieces around those guys to really make us feel that we're moving in the right direction. We will be probably pretty young up front, potentially on offense. We'll be inexperienced at linebacker a little bit. But that's our job, is to find guys to fill in there. And again, I think that we have potential to be, you know, freshman, sophomore, maybe a junior up front on offense, you know, with the 5 of them. But we're okay with that. I think that we'll be okay with that. They'll play hard. They'll be ready to get it out. And you know, with what we do, it's basically just go block the guy in front of you and hold your block until the whistle blows, you know. So we'll hopefully get that taken care of.
I was going to say, are we looking for the traditional William Penn offense this year?
No doubt about that. Yeah. Now, with that said, yes and no. I mean, like I told you earlier, we were able to go to Air Force, and they do some things just a little bit different. And so we're going to be able to do some things and put ourselves in some different situations with some personnel groupings to really try and open up our passing game a little bit, as far as getting the ball downfield a little bit. We have a little bit more speed on the edge and some things like that. So hopefully be able to hit a couple more home runs than we have in the last couple of years.
So not quite so many big guys laying a shoulder pad to somebody else.
No, maybe we might get to throw it deep a little bit more often this year. So hopefully we can take advantage of some of those situations.
So as you're looking forward, I mean, I don't want to talk retirement for Todd Hafner yet, but
no, not yet.
Has that crossed your mind yet, or you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it has. I mean, we've been here 17 years. I'll be 50 years old in October. I mean, I know that I'm not going to coach forever, and I'm okay with that. But I'm a long way from ready to be done. It still burns in my gut that, you know, I was texting with the player just a little bit ago, and he just texted me out of the blue and said, "Coach, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." He said, "Are you ready for the season?" I said, "I haven't been this ready for a season since I can remember." Because really we didn't get spring football with our guys. So it's been almost since, you know, last fall that we were all really able to get together and be as a team and things like that. And so we're ready to go. We're ready just to have the guys back on campus and hug them and love on them and yell at them and all the stuff that goes along with that. But we're excited. I mean, there's just an excitement around the office right now just to have our kids back and to be able to know that we're going to play football. And I think that's the biggest thing right now.
Do you think the COVID makes all of these moments now going forward all the more sweeter?
No question. Absolutely no question. Just because, you know, we may start practice and play 5 games and something comes up, and now what? You know, so you take each day a little bit more special. I honestly think, and I tell the people this all the time, I think this will be over sometime. Now, is that going to be tomorrow? It's not. So we're going to continue to take each day as it comes, but we're gonna make each day as special as we can, for sure. Because like we talked about earlier, it just seemed like all of a sudden the world went weird and stopped. And it wasn't just the United States, it was the world. And so we just have to make sure that our kids know that we care about them, and that no matter what happens, we're going to care about them, and we're going to take this thing day to day. And in the end, we're going to go try and win as many games as we can and turn out as many good people as we can.
Well, I know the COVID situation is, small schools such as yourself, these types of activities for students are very important. That's a big draw for them to come to schools like William Penn.
Yeah, it's paramount.
It's absolutely necessary. So going forward, I understand, that William Penn and all of the NAIA schools are doing the utmost they can to keep students safe.
Yep.
What kinds of extra challenges are you seeing in order to make this happen?
Well, I mean, we've talked about practice today with the staff, and that we may not be able to just go scrimmage each other as much as we typically do. We may have to do more individual work and do it better to get ready to play on Saturday. We may have to practice as an offense for 2 or 3 days in a row, and as a defense 2 or 3 days in a row, and then come together for one day and just, so there are definitely some practice adjustments that we have to make. Everyone's gonna take out their own water bottle. We can't all drink out of the same spigot like we used to do, and and things like that. But those are all adjustments that can be made. And so we'll probably wear a mask in meetings, and we'll do different things like that to just do everything possible just to try and stay as safe as we can. And if wearing a mask in meetings means that we get to play games on Saturday, then by golly, we're going to do it. And so that's where we are. There are some changes, but again, if it means we get to suit up and play on September 12th, then we're going to do it.
I was going to say, September 12th, and do you start on the road or at home?
We start on the road at Mid-American Nazarene in Olathe. It's a night game, so we're going to go play down in Olathe, Kansas, and hopefully get things started on the right foot.
And when do you finally end up at home?
The next week. So the next week we play at home. It's a 2 o'clock game against Baker. I'm sure that they're a little sour towards us, as we went down there last year and upset the number 4 or 5 or 6 ranked team in the country. We played so good that day. What a great day that was. And they weren't happy after the game. And so, I don't blame them. But we're going to try and do the same thing this year.
I was going to say, you and your team wore that one for a while, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, we did. And really, it kind of got us jump-started there for a while. We won that game, and then we won our next couple games. And at one point in time, we were 3-1 or something like that, and we beat Graceland after the bye week, and then we went to Grandview and got beat up pretty good, and didn't play very good the next week against Peru, and so we kind of struggled down the stretch, but we're going to try and get off to a really good start, and hopefully we can put ourselves in position to go win a conference championship.
And no more soggy games like we had that.
That year, that first game you were there when it was a muddy mess. I'm sure you're talking about the Quincy game. I think the score of that game ended up like 68-55 or something like that. It was a crazy day that day for sure.
Yeah. So just a note for those that are listening: if you haven't come out and seen college ball,
right.
It's a lot faster.
Yeah.
The hits are harder.
Yeah. And
the intensity is definitely there. So.
Yeah, it's a different game. It's a different game. It's faster, and you get to see. Even if you've seen a Division I game, you don't get to see it usually as up close as you can if you come to one of our games, and the speed of the game is just different.
I was gonna say, I don't think I'll ever be able to watch football from the stands.
Right? Yeah, because you get to be so close to it. Yeah.
So tell me about the. I always want to know this, the difference in the Mr. Calm Todd Hafner that we get to sit and chat with, and the Mr. Todd Hafner that tells a ref what he did wrong.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, but no, I think that's just the competitiveness. I think that, I like to think that I know all the rules all the time, and when they mess up, I want to make sure that they know that I know that they're wrong. And so, but it's just being competitive. I want our kids to be successful, and I don't like to feel cheated. And if I feel we get cheated, then there's something inside me that just burns like crazy. So
I was going to say, and those kids know that you're there advocating.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
That certainly helps.
Yeah.
Well, have we missed anything, Todd?
I don't think so. I think that, what you do for us and for the last 10 years has been great. I look around this room and all these pictures in here, and it's just fantastic. And to see you at our games and to see you at all the basketball games, and the support that you give us and our school is just amazing. So on behalf of everybody, and I know Coach Henry says the same thing, but thank you for everything that you guys do, because what you do is amazing. So thank you guys very much.
Well, thank you very much, and we really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come in and chat with us.
You bet. Anytime you need to do this, I'd love to sit down with you, so thank you very much.